Hey guys, thanks for joining me. My name's Christy and my website is wiseandwell.org, wiseandwell.org. And today I want to tell you about an interview I recently listened to with Peter Attia and Irene Davis. So Irene Davis is a professor of physical medicine and rehabilitation at Harvard. She's also the founding director of the Spalding National Running Center. And this is the premier running center dedicated exclusively to diagnosis, treatment, and prevention of running injuries. So she's well qualified to talk about the foot and how it relates to running. And that's what we're going to talk about today. It was a fascinating interview. It was 2 hours long. And so more than likely, you may not spend 2 hours listening to this interview. So I'm going to try to outline it and give you the key points in a 5-minute video, although I'm not going to do it justice. You should so listen. And I think that you will be persuaded through this interview to change your thinking about our footwear. So one of the things that she mentions I just found was really interesting and I didn't know is that humans, once we got onto 2 feet and were able to move on 2 feet, we could outrun any other animal. And when I mean outrun, what I mean by that is we can run further over the course of 24 hours than any other animal. Now, obviously, there are animals that can run faster, but if we can just keep going, we can outrun any other animal over the course of 24 hours. So as we were evolving, we would run our prey until they got so weak that we could finally club them. And then, we would have meat to eat, and that's kind of how we started to evolving. But being able to run and find food by using running to catch our food. So as we were running and evolving, we didn't have shoes, or if we did have shoes, it was a piece of leather and a strap. So it's very minimal. Now, obviously today we have cushion shoes. Let me pull up my shoes. So you may have a shoe that looks like this. So you've got a shoe with a lot of cushion in the heel. The heel is actually higher than the forefoot. So it's actually a high heel, which shortens the calf muscle and creates trigger points. It also has a arch support. So if we are running in a shoe that looks like this, these shoes have created the heel strike for running. So it has changed the way we're running. Rather than a forefoot strike, which is how typically most people would run if they weren't running in shoes, or at least in this type of shoe, they would strike with their forefoot. So with the forefoot strike, you've got the ground reaction force of that is about 2 times our body weight. However, when we heel strike, it's about 7 times our body weight. And a lot of that stress moves into the knee joint. If we're striking with our forefoot, then the calf will absorb a lot of that ground reaction force. So the development of our running shoes has created, at least Irene would say, has created a lot of running injuries. So in the 1970s, when running became popular, and this is when the running shoes were created, that's when you saw a spike in injuries. So Irene would suggest that it may be better to run in a minimalist shoe. So let me show you. I have a minimalist shoe here. So a minimalist shoe is going to have no height from the forefoot to the heel. So it's flat across here. It also does not have any arch support, and look how flexible it is. So it's very bendable. Now it doesn't look too bad, right? So she would suggest that in a minimalist shoe, you would change the strike to our forefoot, which can be beneficial. A few of the studies that she presents in this interview is if you take a person who has normal foot function and you put them in a shoe that has an orthotic. And then after several weeks, you take the orthotic away and you measure the strength of their foot or their muscles on their foot. So then you take the normal foot and then you add the orthotic. You then, after several weeks, measure the strength of the foot. The foot muscles will actually atrophy. So because the muscles are supported and they have to do less work, they're under less stress, then they're going to do less. It's kind of like any other muscle in our body. If we put our neck into a neck brace for several weeks, those muscles of the neck are probably going to atrophy. And maybe many of you or some of you have seen someone's arm or leg in a cast. After they get their cast off, the muscles more than likely have atrophied. So that's the same thing happens to our feet when we put them in these supportive shoes. However, I have a very important caveat that I want you to listen to, and that is if you are wearing the traditional shoe, if you're wearing a shoe like this all the time, Irene will warn that if you decide to move to a minimalist shoe, do it gradually. It has to be done gradually over time. So you might start just with activities of daily living, walking around your house wearing the minimalist shoe, or going for a short walk with the minimalist shoe, or a very short run, but gradually change into the minimalist shoe. So you want to make that transition slowly. You don't want to do it all at once. You definitely want to make the transition slowly if that appeals to you. You also do not want to go from a regular shoe to a semi-minimalist shoe. Because the semi-minimalist shoe, you're going to have less cushioning, but it's still going to have some arch support and some of the design of the traditional shoe. And so you still will heel strike, which there's a lot of ground reaction force when we heel strike. So your body does not necessarily make that transition into the forefoot striking if you're going to a semi-minimalist shoe. So she suggests you go from the running shoe directly to a minimalist shoe. Now, if you're a runner and you're thinking about this, you got to watch the interview. There is so much more content I can't dive into here, but it's valuable and it's interesting and it's intriguing. So real quick, I do want to show you, you just saw, this is my minimalist shoe. This is what I wear to work out. I even wear it running. I don't do a lot of, I will admit, I don't do a lot of running. I do some sprinting, but it is by Innovate. And again, I described the characteristics of this minimalist shoe. It's a true minimalist shoe. There's no arch support, there's no height in the heel, and you can roll it up into a ball. The shoe that I love and have been wearing for years is a Vibram. It's a 5-toed shoe. This is my preference. Now, I don't run in this or run sprints, but I do, look at this. I do all of my cable work or any weight training or multi-directional lunging or even jump roping, I will do in this shoe. I love it. This is my favorite one. Now, just for fun, look at this. This is a boot. This is a minimalist boot. Look how you can scrunch it up. And again, there's no height. So this particular boot is by Xero Shoes. It's an X. Xero. They also have tennis shoes similar to the Innovate that I just showed you, but I wanted to show these boots because they're pretty cool. On my website, if you go to the recommendation page, there is a link to Xero Shoes. So it kind of gives you an idea. It's an easy reference for, if you're interested, check out that website, Xero Shoes. Check out the interview, Peter Attia and Irene Davis. It is fascinating. I learned a lot about our feet. I kind of searched that interview out because I had already had a lot of influential people who had sparked the idea we need to be wearing more minimalist shoes in my head for many years. But this was just icing on the cake. I loved it. My website is wiseandwell.org, wiseandwell.org. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. There's going to be lots more videos. I'm trying to keep them short as best as I can. Also, let's be friends on Facebook. And have a fantastic day. Enjoy the rest of your day.